Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Rise and shine. Rise and shine. How are we doing, Instagram? How are you guys doing today? Hope everybody's good. I am broadcasting now from all channels. I'm broadcasting to Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter at the same time. And we're going to be talking about Ghana. We're going to be talking about the Africa Convention that was cancelled a few days ago, a mere hours before the event was due to take place. And there's a lot of conspiracy theories as to what is going on. There were, four very big names in Africa were there. Peter Obi, the former Nigerian presidential candidate, Julius Malema of South Africa, of the EFF. What they call it? So I'm trying to even get this lady's name. I know it's Professor Arikana of Zimbabwe, but I want to get her full title if I can find it. But it's Dr. Arikana of Zimbabwe and PLO Lumumba of Kenya. And we're going to talk about it, guys, because there's conspiracy theories as to why this event was cancelled. So I'm going to wait for more people to get in. If you're joining the show via Instagram or YouTube or Twitter, wherever you are, announce yourselves. Let me know who you are. Let me know you're in the house, where you're coming from, where you're hailing from, what country, what background, how you found the platform. Also, make sure that you like and share this live show and you share it with people that you think might be interested in being involved in this conversation. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that. Share the room, share the link. Let everybody in your network know that we're going to be talking about the Africa Convention cancellation, the truth behind it, why we believe it was cancelled, and what it says about the future and what we need to be doing going forward when it comes to conversations regarding the African continent and the future of the community. I'm also going to be talking about something else as well, which is very, very much connected to this, and it is to do with my experience on social media, to do with my experience on TikTok specifically. I want to talk about that because it connects very closely to this, because some very messed up things have been happening to my platform, and I'm actually very annoyed about it, to be honest. I mean, I've been trying not to be annoyed about it because, to be honest, I don't believe it's worth being annoyed about things that you can't change. I mean, if you don't have the power to effect meaningful change on something, being angry about it is foolishness. But unfortunately, I am annoyed. And I want to talk about it because I think it is very much connected to what is going on here. So thank you very much. Arikana Chihombori. Yeah, I had Arikana. I didn't have the last name, Chihombori of Zimbabwe. Okay, thank you very much. I know that she's the envoy to the UN from the African Union. So I know what her position is. I just didn't remember her last name, but thank you for giving me that information. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of time to gather the troops, send the links out, get everybody on point. We're going to get into this today because we're going to talk some real talk, guys. We're going to talk some real talk about what's going on over there. And I mean, it is unprecedented. I mean, to get those kinds of people to come to your country to do a convention, to do an event, and to cancel it hours before it's supposed to happen, guys, it's unprecedented. I've never heard of such a thing in my life, because these are not Mickey Mouse people that you're getting as far as when it comes to conversations on Pan-Africanism and Africa. So for you to have managed to pull all these guys together to get your conference hall and to get them into the house, get them under the roof, and to cancel it, guys, we just have to talk about it. We have to talk about what that means. So welcome, everybody. Good to see you guys. Good to see everybody in the house. Like I said, I always give a few minutes at the beginning of the shows to give people an opportunity to get in here. Once everybody is in, we're going to get going on the conversation. Okay. That being said, do your due diligence. Like I said, like and share the room. Do your due diligence. Let me just get some of the housekeeping things here. And yeah, there we go. Just getting some stuff done here. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. All right. All right, guys. So as I said, we're gonna kick this off. I like to have a moderator in my Instagram feed. So if anybody is also on my Instagram feed and would like to moderate the Instagram feed while we are conducting this, I'd like that. I know I already have some moderators in my YouTube. Time to shift the mothership. I think I'm going to give you moderator status as well. Oh no, I think you already have it. Okay, you already have it. Time to shift the mothership already has moderator status. So as you have that, it would be great if you can keep things under control in the YouTube. And if there's anybody that wants to handle the Instagram moderation, I would be grateful for that as well. If anybody can handle the Instagram moderation, I will be grateful for that as well. We're going to get going in a couple of minutes, guys. So I'm going to give you a couple more minutes, get everybody in here. We're going to talk about Ghana. You see, I'm actually very disappointed about Ghana. I can't lie to you, because you know that I've made a number of videos and commentary about President Addo and, you know, the Ghana Ivory Coast cocoa wars and all of these other, and there's a lot of little things that have been going on there that I've reported positively on. So to see something like this happen, I'm just, you know, and you know, and again, we're going to talk about it in more detail, but the reaction and the excuses that have been given for why this happened makes it even worse. It was bad enough that you did this, but the excuses that they're giving for why it happened makes the situation even worse than it is. You know, so I think it's really, really important that we get into it and we have the conversation that we need to have in order to you know, in order to analyze this, because I think it's extremely unfortunate. Extremely unfortunate. All right, guys, last minute here, and then we will get into this. The last minute of waiting for folks to get situated, and we will get into this broadcast. What else is going on, guys, before we start? Like, you know, I mean, what other big news has been going on that you would like covered? Because I was looking through and again, we'll get into this because there's some things I was trying to talk about, and I'm now questioning what platform to even put my commentary out on, because it seems like my voice is getting stifled. So I'm actually questioning where I'm going to be, you know, putting my broadcasts on, because it seems like some platforms aren't really allowing things to get through. Make sure that you are signed up to the newsletter, everybody. Make sure that you are signed up to the newsletter. That is very, very important, that you are all signed up to the newsletter. That is one of the ways that that you can be kept up to date on what I'm doing without algorithms, because it goes straight to your email inbox. So if you want my articles and stuff to go straight to your inbox, where you don't have to worry about whether or not you're going to see it, it's going to get straight to you. Sign up to the Alkebulan newsletter. That is my newsletter. You can see it on the screen. You can go directly there at themerc.substack.com. You could go that way, or you could go to themerc.io. And if you go to themerc.io, there are links to all the areas that you can stay connected, and the newsletter is right there. Also, if you click the link on my bio, if you are on Instagram, on any of these other platforms, there's a link in my bio. If you go there, click that link, you will be taken straight to all of my links, and the newsletter is right there for you to get connected. All right, guys, you know what? Let's get into this now. Let's get into this. All right. So, as I've mentioned earlier on in this in the introduction to this broadcast, there was supposed to be a convention in Ghana, the African Leaders, the Future of Africa. Africa was the subject of this convention, and it was designed to talk about the coming year 2024 and the future of Africa in terms of Pan-Africanism, unions between various African countries and various African peoples. And for that reason, you can see the selection of names that they put up here. These guys are all the alternative voices in the African and Pan-African conversation. You know, they're all the alternative voices. Now, only one of them I'm not very, very familiar with, which is the lady. I'm not very familiar with her. But the other guys I am. Like, I know who the other guys are. So Dr. Arikana of Zimbabwe, as I said, I'm not very familiar with her, so I can't really speak to a lot of her ideas. But I would assume that she's in line with the rest of them, because these other guys are actually in the same box. So we know that PLO Lumumba is a Pan-Africanist from Kenya. Very, very popular for those people who are aware of what he talks about in terms of African unity and African progressive thought. Julius Malema, I'm a fan, so I'm a fan of Julius Malema. I've said this many times. I've talked about his speeches and his philosophy. I'm a fan of Julius Malema, so I don't need to say that much about him. He's definitely a Pan-Africanist and believes in the concept. You saw the video I made where he talked about African borders and the fact that he believes in a borderless Africa. So he's one of the guys that I really really support. I really like his persona, his character. People talk about his past, and listen, everybody's got a past. Everybody's got a past. He who wants to accuse guys, and has nothing going on in their house, cast the first stone, however that goes. Everybody's got a past, but I'm looking at the present and the future. I really like, the way the guy moves. Then we've got Peter Obi, who didn't, he was one of the presidential candidates for Nigeria in the recent elections that happened last year. He lost to Bola Tinubu. We know how that's going. I don't even need to get into that too much. But he was seen as the more progressive, youth-connected candidate. He was the guy that the obedience, as they call themselves, were very much behind the Peter Obi ticket. So he was really the voice of the younger generation of Nigerians. And unfortunately, he was unsuccessful in getting the presidency. I hoped he would win. I can't lie. Like, I really hoped the guy would win. I was personally disappointed in the fact that he didn't win. I was disappointed in the fact that he didn't win, but it is what it is. But that is just to give you an overview of the kinds of guys that we're playing with here, guys. I mean, these were the kind of guys that Ghana, you managed to get all of these guys in the same room and you fumbled it. You managed to get all of these guys in the same room, which would have been an iconic convention. This would have been an iconic convention to start off 2024, and Ghana blew it. You fumbled it, guys. And we're going to talk about what they did and then why I think it happened and what this really represents going forward. But that is just to give you the overview of who we're talking about here. So let's just look at this article. So the Ghanaian government has been accused of shutting down a major Pan-African conference just hours before it was set to begin at the Independence Square, Accra. The Convention 2024, which was a forum bringing together prominent African leaders and thinkers was scheduled for Sunday, January 7th to coincide with Ghana's Constitution Day. According to the organizers, they had received approval for the event from authorities in November 2023. However, in a shocking last minute move, the New Africa Foundation, which was coordinating the event, said they received a directive from the government to call off the convention few hours to the event. From the government, guys. This was from the government. Why is the government canceling an event? Like, what has the government got to do with a private event run by a convention center? That's the first element that should give you pause, that should make you think, what is going on here? Why is the government shutting it down? Allegedly, because that's what they're saying. You know, maybe they're lying, but why is the government shutting it down? Hours before. This isn't like they told them that we're going to shut you down the day before. This isn't like they told them they were going to shut you down the week before. They approved this thing in November. So we're talking about 2.5 months, 2 months ago. So the government had ample time to make a decision as to they did this for a reason. They did this for a reason because they could have canceled this thing a long time ago. Why do you cancel it now? Hours before the event is supposed to happen. All right. So, however, thousands of attendees had already filled the Independence Square, and high-profile speakers like Professor Patrice Lumumba, Julius Malema, Dr. Arikana Chihombori-Quao, and Peter Obi. In a statement, the foundation expressed regret at the cancellation and described it as a deviation and a devastation to our dignitaries and special guests. The statement further noted, this came as a shock to us. We had received all approvals from the government months ago, but were given no explanation for this last-minute decision. It has caused great disappointment and confusion. Guys, so the government had actually approved it. They confirmed and approved it. So what exactly happened? Everybody listening in, before I go into what I think is going on, I want, now that you've listened to this, my audience, I want you to put in the chat why you think it was cancelled. I want everybody. Nobody is a bystander in this conversation. There are no bystanders in the Mercs shows. No bystanders. In the chat, wherever you're listening to this broadcast, I want you to type in why you think this convention was cancelled. Now that you've got this information I've told you, the government approved it months ago. It was approved in November. All the dignitaries arrived. These are not Mickey Mouse guys. We've got presidential candidates, envoys to the UN, heads of political parties, Pan-African, illustrious Pan-African speakers. So I would say, can you please, can you guys please write in the chat? I'm waiting. Okay. We're getting some comments here. Okay. And I'm gonna go through your comments as you put them up. I'm gonna go through your comments because then I'm gonna talk about what I think is going on. I'm gonna go through your comments and then I'm gonna talk about what I think is going on. Okay, so we got one here. Let's look at some of these comments. So Brad Rose says, was it a security issue? Did they know something we didn't know? But I'll ask my contacts in Ghana. Okay. Hi, Brad. Good to see you here. Let's see who else we got here. Musola. Oh, they feared the challenge the event would present to them. It would challenge the status quo and galvanize the youth, especially. Okay. Okay. The government was ordered to cancel it by their masters in France and the US. Ken Baba. Okay. Okay. Lady Diana. Political move and likely dollars received to shut it down. Okay. Okay. Yetunde the Sketcher. Threats from outside nations, maybe. Threats from outside nations. Okay. Brad Rose comes back again. Maybe you're an optimist. I don't know, you know. Give to God, Star North, IMF loans conditions. Listen, okay. Okay. Let's see now. It's because of the new political party, the new force. What political party are we talking about? And lifeblood.com, GCOM radio, negative influences from outside forces. Okay. Okay. Guys, let me even look at some of the Instagram people. So 882, they don't want us to better ourselves. They don't want to see the power we have. Okay. Stephen Bond for multi-billion conglomerate with interest in Africa. Okay. 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 Guys, let's get into this. So for me, this is a very simple situation. When you look at the way this played out and the fact that these guys already approved it, and after the approval, they then did what they did. There's two possibilities. Did something change, or did a call come from above to say, hey, we know you approved this, but this thing cannot happen? Because they got wind of the kinds of conversations that were going to take place. You see what I'm saying? Like, they approved it before, but they probably didn't really realize maybe what it was going to end up becoming, what it could potentially be. And when you got closer to the event, they said, you know what? I don't think we want to be the stage for catalyzing this conversation. I don't think we want to be the stage for the inception of the ideas that are being put forward here. I don't think that we want to be that. So for that reason, it's made it very, very difficult for the powers that be to move forward without maybe ruffling the feathers of whoever it is that is pulling the strings. That is the only thing that I can say for that, because guaranteed for you to pull the plug this close to the event, something must have happened recently. And in fact, I would argue it's like, wait a minute, didn't you know this the day before? Didn't you know this the week before? So part of me feels that, is this designed to send a message? Is this designed to send a message? That is the thing. You've got to ask yourself the question that maybe this is set up to send a message, because look at the way that everybody is talking about this. Look at the way that we're reacting. You know, that's what I feel. That's what I feel. But then you then ask the question, what are you afraid of? That's the question. That is the next question you ask. Why is it that you're scared? What is it that worries you in allowing an event like this to take place? What is the concern in allowing something like this to happen? Because what are they going to be talking about? They're going to be talking about Pan-Africanism. They're going to be talking about unity in Africa. They're going to be talking about corruption, how to solve corruption, how to go against corruption. And I'm not trying to say that these guys have all the answers. I'm not even saying that there isn't an element of grandstanding to a degree with some of this stuff. Because, we're talking like some of these guys, Peter Obi is a politician. So when you think about it, it's like, look, to a degree, it's not as if things are necessarily, these guys are coming in going to be super radical. Malema is radical. We know that, well, I don't even like using the word radical, but he's somebody that is trying to do things that nobody else wants to do. He's willing to say things that nobody else wants to say. However, I would say that you have to worry for us as a community that even people at this level are being shut down. I'm very concerned about it because, as I said, I'm going to talk about what's been happening on my platform, and I'm nothing compared to these guys in terms of reach and clout, but it's happening to me. So for me, when I saw this, it worried me a lot because I said, these people shouldn't be able to do this. Like, this shouldn't be possible. You shouldn't be able to have people like that in your country or about to go on stage and have the ability to shut it down without giving any real reason. I mean, I'll talk about some of the reasons. Like, they said that, oh, it clashed with a previous government event. Okay, what is the event that it clashed with? Ghanaian government. You said it clashed. Where is the event? What event? Because if there's a clash, what event took place in that conference hall that supersedes what this thing would have been? What is the event? So that's a lie. We know that's a lie. And that was the only real excuse given. That was the only real excuse given. So for you to take something like this down and not feel that you need to give a legitimate reason says a lot about where we are. Because you could not pull something like this off in the Western Hemisphere. Can you imagine, like, you're in England and people fly from all these European countries to do a convention in England about whatever it is, and you have people of that level in terms of Europe in a place, and thousands of people have already paid and are there waiting to see the person, and the British government shuts it down. Not some other party, the actual government goes and says shut it down and doesn't tell people why. Guys, there'll be riots. You see, that's the difference between us and everybody else. It's like, we tolerate this sort of thing. All the Africans that, in Ghana and everybody who went there, they're just going to go back to work and just say, they'll, post a few things on Twitter, post a few things on YouTube, on Instagram, on, whatever. TikTok, everything, nothing matters now. Like, doesn't matter what you do. Because I was looking at it and I looked at this and I saw the amount of conversation that was going on online about it. And I was like, there's a lot of people who are bothered by what happened. People care about this. People are upset about what happened. So if there are that many people in Africa that care about this, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Real question, guys. I want somebody to tell me, what are you going to do about it? Because this is ridiculous to me. I mean, I looked at it and I said, there's definitely something being said here because the people involved are too high profile. It's very insulting to do this. So when you do something like this, it's an insulting move. It's like, we have the power to pull the plug on you, and we just pull the plug. And not only that, we have the power to pull the plug on you, we have the power to pull the plug on you and not tell you why we pulled the plug. It's a power move. It's a power move. So I feel that it is a direct insult being leveled at what this conference represents, and to all the people that support what the conference represents. That's what I think. And I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say that. I don't think that me saying that is hyperbolic. I think it's the truth, because we've seen Julius Malema's speeches. We've seen his speeches. And we know about Patrice Lumumba, PLO Lumumba's rhetoric. We know about what Peter Obi represented in Nigeria. Now, the lady I would assume is in line with all of them. I think part of the issue with this is the idea of putting all of these guys in the same room, talking to each other, and symbolically uniting multiple hemispheres within Africa. That's what I think happened. Ken Baba, I agree with you. I think that this came from overseas. I think it came from overseas. I think that somebody from, maybe there's the UK, France, Germany, wherever the hell, America. Somebody said that, listen, man, you are not hosting this event. They need to go somewhere else, because you want us to keep doing business with you, or you want this deal to go through, or whatever it is. Some kind of influence said that the optics of you hosting this is bad. We don't want the footage out there. We don't. Amma, you said I'm missing information. What's the information? Tell us. We're all ears. You said that we're missing information. Tell us. All this stuff where you say you don't know, you don't understand, I don't like that sort of talk. If there's things to be known and you have facts and figures, give us the links, give us the information so that we can all be informed. Otherwise, don't say anything. Because I'm ready to be educated on this, because I'm confused. Okay. In fact, I'm going to bring you on here. Let me bring you on. If you have information, I'm going to bring you on. Hold on. Here's the call-in link, Amma. I assume that you're Ghanaian and you have information for us. Click the link. Let's bring you on. Educate us on what's going on. Fill in the gaps. Please quickly click that link so that we don't get stalled, but come and fill in the gaps for us. Amma, come and fill in the gaps for us on what is actually happening in Ghana and why this went down. Please click the call in. Yeah, guys. So, look, I feel that there is behind the scenes conversations about this. I think also what it highlights is the power of the commentary. I think it highlights the power of the commentary. I think also, Amma, I see you waiting. Do you have your camera? Do you have your camera? Okay, I do. So what you're going to need to do is, if you can find a semi-quiet place, like if there's anywhere you can go so we can hear you, and then I'll bring you on so you can give us all the information that you say we are missing in this story. Can you find anywhere that's a little quieter? Okay, all right. We'll give you 3 to 4 minutes. Okay. So we're going to get Amma in here. I'm assuming she's from Ghana. She's going to fill in the gaps for us, because, as I said, guys, from the outside, it looks like things came from some international phone calls got made. Somebody was using their international payments plan to make international phone calls. That's what it looks like, because the thing about it is this. And again, going back to what I was saying just before I was talking to the caller, is that this highlights the power and influence of the speakers. It highlights the power and influence of the speakers. I really, really, truly believe that. And not so much of the speakers per se, but the content of what this conversation would have entailed. The content of what this conversation would have entailed is clearly bothersome. And then you ask yourself that why is it that Africans talking about African unity is such a threat to people? Have you ever heard of such a weird thing? Like, why is it that they assassinate guys and destroy people's reputations when you talk about uniting Africa? I thought that, peace was what you wanted for Africa. I thought that was because that's the rhetoric coming out of the Red Cross, NATO, UN, Amnesty International. When the America comes to wag their fingers, UK come to wag their fingers, everybody's talking about, why can't you guys just be peaceful and be happy and be part of peace and happiness is security. Security comes from unity. If I'm united with my neighbor, it is less likely I'm going to have an issue with my neighbor. So if it's true that you want us to be prosperous as a continent, why wouldn't you promote conventions like this? Why wouldn't you? Why would it be seen as a radical move to have a bunch of Africans talking about uniting themselves and about a single currency and about a single union and about no borders? Why would that be a threat? Why would that be an issue? This is a real question I'm asking because maybe, somebody can give me some insight into this because I know what it looks like. I know what it looks like, So it's really interesting. And as I said, I'm going to wait for her to come back before I get into my other topic, which is about what's happened to my platform. I want to definitely talk about that because it's very much connected to this. But I'm just waiting for her to come back to wrap up this area, and then we will go into what's been happening to me, because what's been happening to me is direct. It's a direct connection. It's like a direct connection to this on a tiny scale, on a very tiny scale, but it's a direct connection. And this is the thing, man. I'm sure that a lot of you guys have heard of the Cat Williams interview. You've watched the Cat Williams interview. There are things he said in that were really, really important. And then he did another interview with Willie D, who I watch from time to time as well. And he made a couple of statements in there that were really, really profound. And there were things that, guys, it was a bar. That's all I can say. He dropped a bar. He said this one thing that I think I'm going to clip it and I'm going to do a video just about that, because the thing he said was so impactful for Africa. This is Cat Williams, a comedian, that I think I'm going to clip his statement. And it was a statement about identity and the truth, and about who controls the truth and identity. A comedian said this, and it was about Africa and Black identity. And when I heard that thing, I said, you know what? I'm going to make it specific, because it's like, guys, we are playing games. Everything we are doing is a waste of time if you do not control the narrative. All this is a waste of time. If you do not control the microphone, if you do not control the means of actual communication, all of this is a nonsense. The reason why we're even complaining about a convention being cancelled is because wherever this came from, how do I put this? In some respects, you would see this. I see you. I'm going to bring you in a second. I see you. Let me know when you're situated, and I'll bring you in. Let me know when you are situated, and I will bring you in. Okay. I will then bring you in. All right. So good
Hi, everyone.
afternoon. Hi.
Good
Where
morning. It's 7 in the morning here.
are you actually?
I'm in New York.
Oh, in New York. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So you said that you had information for us that we didn't have. I'm assuming that you're from Ghana.
Yeah. hmm
Okay. So what is the information that we are missing in relation to this situation? Can you enlighten us?
Okay, so basically, there's this man. His name is Nana Kwame Bediako. He's the owner of the #1 Oxford building in Accra. It's arguably one of the best infrastructures in Ghana. So he's the person that's behind the convention. Before this convention was supposed to take place, there were like billboards that just like came up out of nowhere all over Accra and in Ghana calling for like a new force, like there's a new force coming. A lot of people assumed it was him, but me personally, I didn't know who was behind it.
Okay,
But the
you might need to
spokesperson,
talk. You might need to talk slowly because we can't see your mouth, so people won't know what you're
oh,
saying. So talk slowly so we
all
can
right,
hear. Okay, go on.
all right. So the billboards came up for the new force, correct? And a lot of people were trying to figure out who it was because it was basically like a man in a mask. And the spokesperson that first came out was a Belgian woman, like a white woman. She was talking about all the things that's wrong with Ghana and how they like we need a new force to fix it. So because and apparently like her, here we have a green card, so her permit to stay in Ghana like it has expired. So because like her permit to stay in Ghana and everything has expired, the government deported her back to Belgium. So that's what happened. And then when the convention came, that's when Nana Kwame Bediako unveiled himself as the man behind the new force. And basically, he's trying to establish a new political party in Ghana. So when I saw the speech and everything, honestly, I was really, really like moved. Like I was like, oh my God, this could be the change that we're looking for because, like you said, he's backed by all these powerful people that I look up to, like especially in politics, Pan
Who is
Africanism. So I
backed by
was
all these people? Who is backed by all these
I
people?
mean, the people that he had with him on the convention, on Nana
When,
Kwame
and
Bediako.
who? When you say with? Oh, the guy. Okay. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
he had Peter Obi,
Yes.
Professor
Right.
Lumumba, yeah,
Right. Okay.
everybody. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, this could actually be real because these are like powerful people in African politics. Like they wouldn't just come here for no
Ah,
reason.
okay. So
Yeah.
now I understand. So this, I get it now.
hmm
So basically, just for people who are listening, there is a guy called, what's his name? Nana what?
Nana Kwame Bediako,
Nana
aka
Kwame Bebeako, who is the guy who created this convention,
New
right?
Force, the
Yes,
convention,
wait. So
everything.
let me explain to people. So
hmm
he now is essentially a new movement within Ghana that is against the status quo, the current government, President Ado, and so on and so forth. And he now, with the backing of these four people, potentially, if this convention went ahead, would have been the launching of a rival political movement and political party
Thank
against
you.
the government. So the government
hmm
now realizing this makes sense what you're saying. So the
Yep.
government didn't know this when they approved this thing in November last year. They didn't know.
Mhm.
Now that the mask movement thing has revealed themselves of who he is and this woman, they suddenly said, oh my God, this convention that we have coming up is actually now a vehicle for these people that are going to be opposing our administration. So we need to shut this down. When did the mask reveal happen?
I think Sunday.
Oh wow,
Sunday.
yeah.
Yep.
Then we've
Sunday. No,
solved it.
January 7th, Sunday.
We've
Yep.
solved it, guys. We've solved it.
hmm
It's solved. We've solved it.
Yep.
It's solved. Yeah. That. So,
But the
guys,
thing is, sorry,
we've
let me add
solved
this
it.
one because I have to go to work. So the thing is, at first, I was really in support of him, but I know people that know this man, and some of them are saying that like he's a well-known scammer. So now I'm a little bit iffy on it.
You're saying who's the scammer? Uh oh. Uh oh.
Be best friends with Mayweather.
Okay.
Like it's a lot of things they said. So now
So
I'm
wait a
just a
minute.
little bit.
They're saying the new guy is this is a scammer as well.
Yeah, saying that he might be a scammer.
Wow. All right, look, thank you for coming up here. You've
No problem.
really helped us out. This was very
I
good
follow you on
information.
TikTok.
Thank you. No, listen, that was very good information.
Thank
Make sure
you
that you
all.
go and join the Patreon. Make sure you're on the
Okay.
Patreon. I
Okay.
like you really helped us out today. I appreciate it. Let me talk about what you said. Thank you. Everybody
Bye.
thank this Ghanaian
Mama.
lady Amma here who has enlightened us on what's going on. All right. Fantastic. Guys, we've solved it. We've solved it. That's exactly what's happened. We figured it out. So basically, let's go over this again for what she said. Let's go over this again. None of this made sense till what she just said. Like, I really didn't understand. This doesn't really even have anything to do with international bodies. This doesn't have anything to do with anybody else. This is politics in Ghana. this is just straight up politics. So basically, there is a guy, she said his name was Nana something, in Ghana, who basically has another movement against the Ghanaian government. It's basically pushing things in a different way, in a different direction for Ghana. Because obviously there's a lot of people in Ghana that feel that the current government is corrupt. They feel that the government has all of these sort of factors, right? Now, they do a campaign where they have masks and people don't even know that who these people are. Nana Kwame Bediako is his name. Where they have masks, let me put this up here, and where they have masks and so on, and people do not know who these guys are. So it's like, a viral campaign and so forth. So this viral campaign is going on, and the government don't know that this really has anything directly to do with them as a threat to their government. So they go ahead and they approve a convention in November 2023. Now, this convention is going, the governments are cool with it, they've approved it and everything. Now, the convention is due to happen, what do they call it? On the 7th, like a few days ago. And on Sunday, a few days before the convention is due to happen, the masks come off and they reveal themselves to essentially be the opposition to the government and the people who are responsible for essentially being involved with this convention. So the government, they were like, oh my God. So wait a minute. The convention that we have approved, we have basically approved a platform, a potential platform for launching the opposition to us. And not only launching the opposition to us with really heavy hitter names. People of that level are now going to essentially build a foundation for this new movement. Guys, we can't have that. It makes complete sense. It makes complete sense. Now, other governments who are in other parts of the world wouldn't do that because they know that's going to look bad for them. But this is Africa, man. This is Africa. Yes, snack crumbs, literal masks. I saw them. If you go on social media, there was like this mask campaign, and these people were wearing masks, and you didn't know who they were. So it's actually literally, you didn't know the identity of these guys. So it's, yes, like literal masks. I saw some of the images, and I didn't really follow the campaign, but I saw some of the images of the masks and stuff. I was actually wondering why this white Belgian woman had anything to even do with this whole situation, but she did. And again, so she got deported immediately, once she got involved with this whole thing. And this now makes so much more sense to me. I don't think it's not confusing anymore. It's unfortunate that something that would have been really good for Africa and really good for the community was stifled in this way for these reasons, for political reasons. But it's not what I thought it was initially. It's not what I thought it was initially. I thought that it was more a case of the actual content of what this forum was going to be was the reason for its cancellation, and that was it. Now understanding this is connected to politics and a government not wanting to directly or indirectly empower their opposition or their potential opposition. That's all it is, guys. So it's unfortunate. I'm glad we found this out. I will clip this and I will post this for everybody who wants to understand what's going on. I'm glad we have this on tape. We solved it live, and it's sad. It's really sad. It's really sad. I wish that those guys, the guy who did this, didn't. I mean, was it necessary to announce this thing the day before? I mean, you know what the thing is? I don't think he even imagined they would cancel it with the kind of names that were coming. I think the guy was trying to play a fast one and saying that, you know what, I'm going to capitalize on the clout that will come from this event by announcing it so close to the event that it cannot be canceled. But he didn't realize that he's dealing with Africans. Africans will cancel it while it's happening. They will break up the meeting. If the president and the government discovered that thing while the event was happening, they would have sent police inside to just say, they would pull the plug on the lights and the microphones, pull the microphones and say, leave. That's Africa. That's Africa. But now we solved it. So, guys, what do you guys think of that? Now that we figured it out, what do you guys think now of what happened? Like, how do you put in the comments? I want to see your comments. How do you feel about about what went down over here? How do you feel about it? V. Lionejo says it was wrong to use Pan-African faces. I agree with you. 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 I think to use the level of people we're talking about here to do this wasn't the best. The question you've got to ask, Lion Joe, is this. Were they in on it? Were the people who were coming to this event in on this move? Ask that question of yourselves, guys. Because is it possible that they knew that, you know what, this is what's going to happen? We know what this is, because, for example, the people coming might be aligned with, like, they might have actually policy-wise be cool. So you've got to ask yourself that, did they know that this was going to happen? Did they know? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, because they did have a press conference afterwards. The Malema wasn't there, but the other three were there. They had a press conference where they talked about their disappointments of what has happened, that the fact that it's corruption and so on and so forth. They did have a press conference. But the question you ask is that, did they know? Did they know? Let's see what we have here. Yeah, no, look, it's very, very sad. It's very, very sad, that this happened. It would have been great to actually have that conference happen, because it's not going to be easy to get those four people in the same room again, to do anything. It will be very, very difficult to have that happen. But yeah, guys, it's crazy. It's crazy. I want to go into something else after the break that happened. I want to go into something else after the break. So stay tuned, guys. I want to talk about something that happened to me and my platform after the break and how it links into this conversation. So stay tuned. Developing a thriving community to uncover hidden African history, stimulate critical thinking, and build bridges between Africa and the diaspora requires resources. It cannot be done without you. Consider joining our Patreon family to support my work, where you can watch ad-free videos early, utilize the chat feature, participate in Patreon-only live shows, and be a part of my creative process. Visit the Patreon link at themerc.io, pick your membership tier, and let's make history together. All right, guys, welcome back to the show. Now, we've been talking about this, but I want to talk about something that happened to me that is really connected to this whole situation. So I have a really big TikTok following, as you know. I mean, we crossed over 500,000, so we're like on 509, 510K on TikTok. It would be double that, if not triple, if it wasn't for them constantly trying to mess me up. They've been doing that a lot, you know. But something happened that really highlighted the issue when it comes to voices, you know. And when you talk about Pan-African voices, African cognitive thinking, thoughts, and everything that we talk about, and the reason why this convention would have been important, and a lot of the stuff that we do on the platform. I have a video that is on YouTube, and the video is about Black Africa and the war in Gaza, and whether Black Africans should support Palestine in this war. And I'd already released it on, I released it on Patreon first, and then it's released on YouTube after that. And then I then, it's been some weeks now, I created a version to put on my on the socials like Instagram and TikTok. I posted it on TikTok. And guys, I want you to tell me how many views you think that video got in the first hour on TikTok. Bearing in mind, I have 510,000 followers. A video that's very well edited. For those who've seen it, you know the video is fully edited. There's no issue about quality or anything like that. 8-minute video. TikTok said that they want longer videos, so on and so forth. I want you to tell me how many views. Type it in the chat, everybody, whether you're on Instagram, you're on YouTube, you're listening. How many views do you think that video got in the first hour? Talking about Black exploitation in the Arab world, and, you know, racism in the Arab world, and how important it is for Black Africans and Black people to really consider where they put their energy when it comes to these conflicts, because of the amount of conflicts we have on the African continent, and the fact that nobody cares about those, nobody cares about us. So, you know, we have to really start thinking about these things. I want you to tell me how many views. Type it. I want to see numbers. First hour. Okay. Yetunde the Sketcher says 2 million in the first hour. 2 million in the first hour. Okay. Snack Crumb says 50K in the first hour. Snack Crumb says 50K in the first hour. Miss Goddess K says 10K in the first hour. Joshua Comey says 1K in the first hour. Any more bids? Any more bids, guys? Keep the bids coming. Keep the bids coming. There's a lot of you in here. I want to see a lot of bids. How many views do you think a 509,000 follower account, where I used to have videos that will be getting 2-3 million views on, got with a video like that I just described to you in the first hour? Keep giving me the bids, guys. I want to see if anybody gets close. I want to see if anybody gets close. And then I'll tell you how many it was. And then we'll talk about what that means. I want to see if anybody gets close. Guys, I'm not, where are the bids? Guys, where are the bids? I thought everybody should have a thought here. Where are the bids? How many? Okay, I've got some on Instagram. Rights Usli Sosa, 1 million views. Yinka Onile, 500. Tutal Adebayo, 0. Dawinta, 2 million. Danny Doc, 500K. Okay. Okay. Ama, 500. Anthony Bruno, 60K. All right, guys. 21. 21 views. 21 views is what I got on that video. 21 views. Tutal Adebayo should get an award because he said 0, so he was the closest. Tutal Adebayo said 0. He was the closest. Tutal Adebayo said 0. He was the closest. DeFranco said 1.2 million. 21 views. In 24 hours, I got like maybe 80 views, 100 views, 21 views. I then reposted it to just test out to make sure that there wasn't any glitches. I reposted it today and it got 33 views in the first hour. And you want to tell me that there isn't a conspiracy? That shouldn't even be possible. Like it shouldn't be possible to have 500,000 people following you and for you to post a video and for you to get 21 views. That shouldn't even be possible. That is less views than I got when I didn't even have followers. Like when I had no followers, like I had like maybe 50 people following me. I'd get like maybe 50 views in the first hour or something, 25 views, 30 views. This is lower than people who don't even have followers. So somebody now wants to tell me that no, TikTok and they haven't categorically said we are not going to push your videos. Your message and what you're saying is counter to what we want to promote. I mean, I don't know what other evidence you need of what is going on. And the reason why I bring it up is this. This is the reason why I bring it up. Oh no, Brad, I have my normal rate. There are some videos I've put up that I got 10,000 views in like the first 15 minutes. I've had some videos I get, and my average, like what I average is about 3,000 to 5,000 views in the first hour. That's my normal rate. If a video does really well, I'll get 10,000 in the first hour, whatever. I get 100 views a second normally. 100 views a second. Like that's my normal rate of views when I first post a video. What they first of all did is that I don't even get followers anymore. So I don't, clearly what they're doing is that they're not even showing it to people who don't already follow me. So for the since I got to like 450K or so, like I don't even really get followers at a fast rate anymore when I post a video. So what's happening is that the videos are going on the For You page of the people that already follow me, if they even get to the For You page. But it's not being pushed out to people who do not follow me. But now, whew, listen, I mean, guys, and I'm telling you this, guys, when I saw that yesterday and today, I said I have to talk about that on the show. I've got to talk about it on the show because what this means is that my TikTok account is completely dead. This means that the 500,000 followers are defunct. So when you have a situation like that, what does that say about the conversations that we're trying to have? If I could get that many followers and we think we have something going on where we can actually start talking about things, start making a change, start pushing narratives forward, start controlling narratives, and then this happens. It just shows that these guys could just turn off the tap. They just go click, it's off. No more reach. They already took the live. They took my live. They said, you know what? This live thing didn't stop me. Neutralize your reach. So when I see what's happening in these things, Humble Lion, this is the topic. If you don't like it, leave. If this is the topic. So if you don't like it, you can find your square root. Yeah, no, Ken Baba, it's weird. It's crazy. It's really, really weird. Like, and it's weird because it's so flagrant in your face that it bothers me because I see a lot of people, complaining about the narrative, complaining about global dime. Why can't people get notifications? They control the notifications, global dime. They control the notifications. The notifications are controlled. So, they'll decide who's going to get notifications if they get them, And the way that TikTok works is more about the algorithm pushing things on their For You page. But again, my point is that a lot of the conversations that I have with people is about the fact that there are many important stories that people don't know about. I keep saying that. So when I bring up some of these stories, I'm always concerned that these stories are not known about. Like the story I told you about Israel, South Africa taking Israel to the International Courts of Justice, and the fact that that is not mainstream news. And I was like wondering, like, my goodness, how is this not front page news everywhere? Like, how is this not the top news story every day, considering how much coverage the actual conflict is having? That one of the major players is being taken to court, and the court date is on the 11th. Like, what are we on now? We're on it's tomorrow. So I was like, how is that not the main topic that everybody is talking about? But it's because of these sorts of things. So when I see this happen to me, I realize the level of power and influence they have to actually just shape the narrative and just be like, you know what? We're just going to take these creators and these voices and these topics and these things, and we're just going to shut those down. And then we'll focus over it's and again, it really, really, really concerns me. Global Dime, it is messed up. Global Dime, are you on the YouTube as well? Are you on the YouTube feed? Because I can't even bring thoughts in. If you have thoughts, you can get on the YouTube and I can bring you in to give your thoughts on this. I don't know about other people, but I feel that this is actually the most important. This is the most important thing for the community. Because what happened in this convention is the same thing. It's like the information is out there, the messages are out there, but it's the ability to get those messages to the masses that is difficult. And unfortunately, we are so willing to abdicate the power and the ability to control these narratives to other people. QCL radio show, yes, till we have our own platforms, it won't change. And let me tell you something about that QCL radio. Even if we had our own platforms, somebody would sabotage it. Like there'll be people trying to sabotage those platforms. Because if you think for half a second that Africa is going to go and create a platform and every Western power is not going to go out of their way to infiltrate and sabotage that platform, you've got another thing coming. Because that would literally be the most dangerous weapon that Africa ever had. If Africa had its own social media of the scale of TikTok or Instagram or any of these things, that would be literally the most powerful weapon Africa ever had. And you bet your bottom dollar that these guys will go out of their way to sabotage, destroy. They will not only destroy the platform, they will destroy the reputations and the livelihoods of everybody connected to the platform systematically. And not only would that be done, it will be done with the help and assistance of other Black and African people. That is what would happen. Yetunde the Sketcher, yes, they want twerking videos and milk crate challenges. Yes, no. I mean, that is what we're supposed to be doing as Africans, or being comedians. We're supposed to be comedians and making people laugh, or doing feats of strength and athletic ability. So if you're doing sports, kicking a ball around, throwing a ball through a hoop, kicking a ball in a goal, like those are the sorts of things that they will be, you have no issues. There'll be no problems there. There'll be no problems there. Global Dime, okay, jump on. If you have thoughts, I want to bring thoughts in here, and it seems like you have a lot of thoughts about this topic. Get onto the YouTube, because I cannot do it via Instagram as far as bringing people on in Instagram. If you have thoughts, get onto the YouTube and then click, and then the link is on YouTube. Make yourself known when you get into the YouTube channel. Type in the chat so I know that you're there. Then I will put, then you can click on and we can get your thoughts. Anybody on the Instagram who also wants to give their thoughts as well, we're going into the final stretch of the show. So I want to hear from you. If you're on the Instagram and you want to give your thoughts, get onto the YouTube. You click the link on my profile. You can find the YouTube channel, and you can actually jump on, and I will get what you have to say. Listen, guys. Look, it was very disheartening for me because, and it happened today. So this is not something that happened ages ago. This happened today. When I saw those views, 21 views is ridiculous. 90 views, 100 in the first day. I said, it's over, man. Like, I have to now go somewhere else. I built a 500,000 following, which is now pretty much held captive on a platform that won't even allow me to reach those people. And when I reach those people and I tell them that, guys, I knew this was coming. If you've been watching my videos, you would know that I've been saying this for the last 6 months. I said, guys, these guys are going to take my platform, man. I've been saying it. I was like, you guys need to all sign up to my newsletter, get off this thing, get onto my YouTube, get onto my newsletter, sign up to it, because at some point I will not be able to reach anybody anymore. And the time is arriving. It's like now, it's, and it's very sad because that following is really important. Anthony Bruno says, let's see what you're saying here. African millionaires should join forces and create social media, a social platform that promotes relevant messages to Africa and the diaspora. They don't have the incentive for it, Anthony Bruno. You have to remember that a lot of the people who have that kind of money, the money was generated within the current status quo. How much incentive do they have to actually deconstruct what made them all that money? You've got to think that way. It's like, what incentive does a billionaire from Africa have to create a platform that is going to empower African people to that degree, independently of independence of the machine? They don't have that incentive. And I think, to be honest, when you get to that level, you become acutely aware of the enemies of Africa and Black folks. And you realize that if you stand with Africa, if you stand with us, you're essentially in direct opposition to pretty much everything that put you where you are. There are no billionaires who made their money from the people. Like, nobody. Everybody is from corporates, and the government, politics, corporate. Like, Africa doesn't have those sort of. Africa, for example, doesn't have a Mr. Beast. We don't have a Zuckerberg. We don't have these sort of billionaires or Elon Musk and all these sort of guys, or Hanahan or whatever he is. Like, I'm trying to think of other people. Who else would there of the sort of radical billionaires? I can't think of anybody else, but we don't have them. The billionaires we have, they're not incentivized to be mavericks. All right, let me bring Brad on here. All right. There you go, Brad. That's the call-in. And I know you were in Ghana, or you are in Ghana. So I guess you could also talk to us about your experience there as well. So I'll bring you in. That's the link. And we can have a conversation about what is going on as well. All right. Yeah, guys, unbelievable. But we're gonna, we'll get into that. I know Brad has a lot of experience with these things, so We will get into some of that as well. Mission X logic. There will always be blacks to assist them. Our unity has to be so strong to overcome their sabotage. I agree with you 100%. Global Dime, you need to switch to YouTube because I can't keep switching service to see your comments. It seems like you want to get involved in the conversation, but you need to switch and let me know you are on YouTube and I can bring you in. Otherwise, I will miss your comments. Anybody else as well on Instagram, I will miss your comments. If you want to get in this conversation, you need to switch over and let me know in the chat on YouTube and I will bring you in. All right, I see Brad is there. Let me connect him real quick. Let me connect him real quick. All right. All right. Hi, how are you? Welcome.
Work, great to see you. I'm here in my house in Prague, just got back from Ghana and love the work that you're doing. I search out your videos and I think they're awesome, even though I did notice the view count was wow.
Yeah, I mean
Wow.
it's dramatic. I mean, if you look at it, it's dramatic. It's dramatic. You know, it's not even,
Yeah.
hey, they've just throttled it a little bit or whatever. I'm talking
Yeah.
like I've dropped 99% views. Like it's like I've gone from getting 300,000 views a day to 1,000 views, you know, to 500 views. It's crazy, you know?
Unbelievable, unbelievable. I've gone through similar phases here with TikTok, and as far as a platform by which I could put out real proper Pan African content, it's dead. It's dead as could be. I had 8 videos in the past year on Pan African currencies, how it would work. Nothing crazy, just technical. Here's how it would work. 7 out of the 8 were taken off for violating community standards. Um, after I've done a few of them, I've seen my video counts go to, for at least 30 days, will go to like 1,000, or it's just like insanely low. And I wasn't as big as you, but I was knocking in 2 million.
No, you were.
Yes.
Yeah, no, you were. Listen, you were big before I was big. You know, like you know, you were one of the people. Like I said, your videos came on and you educated me on things that I didn't know that were happening. Inspired a number of videos that I made,
Mhm.
and I saw your view count. Your view count was fantastic. You know, your view count actually surpassed your follower count. You know, in terms of just what it should have looked like. So I've seen that. I was actually gonna, you know, I was gonna, because for those who don't know, Brad has like been a supporter of my platform for a while, and therefore I've also looked into a lot of what he's been doing in Ghana. He was just in Ghana as well for some conferences, and I was actually going to reach out to you to even talk about what had happened to your channel, and then it's now happened to me because I was seeing how low your views were.
Mhm.
And I was going to talk to you and say that, you know, listen, I think something is going on, you know. And then I got hit
Mhm.
bad, you know.
Now now I did notice my view count recover when I made one simple change, which was I got to when I was in Ghana, I just started to, post about just the properties that we had for sale, which is the most benign topic of all time, like, here's like, because I do sell lots of properties there, and so I'm like, "Here's a cool ocean view. Here's a cool, like, four-wheeler quad. Here's me getting eating African food," right? Boom, all the followers start to come back. Now it's like, "Okay, you're a good boy now." The second if I was to make a video on this situation here, uh, we have to realize there are people who are actually watching our channels.
No. That's what I was gonna get to.
Yep.
I think, guys, and I'm gonna say this now, and you know, we're on YouTube, and I think this is actually a very good conversation to be having because we're both in the same boat. All the people that said this was a conspiracy theory
Mhm.
are wrong.
Mhm.
I also underestimated how extreme it is. Like, I truly did not think it was this bad. I didn't think it was this nefarious. There are people now, I believe, who are sitting there and certain accounts get flagged at a point. They get too big, they have too much traction, they're posting videos that are against sort of the ethos that they want. And those will suddenly get filed to certain people at the company who then are required to monitor those profiles.
Mm-hmm.
And once you're there, it's going to be hard for you to get out of that situation. Like they'll always monitor your platform, because the specificity of how they're able to take down my videos is too accurate. They take down the specific videos that are the most, how do I say it? Disruptive.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it might be, whether it's my graphic novel or whether it's with politics or whether it's, once it gets to an area where, yes, if Africans, if 20 million Africans see this, we will have a problem. All right, this is the comment I want to bring up here. He said that you're white. Okay, this is good. All right, so respectfully, Brad, you're white. All right. No, I like this comment. So this is sort of goes into what I talked about before, about this conversations about Africa and about the diaspora, and the fact that people have a problem. Some people, not everybody, but some people have a problem with the fact that any white person will have commentary on African issues or African situations. To which I say, and somebody brought this up earlier, some of the biggest obstructions that I've had were Black people, like were Africans. Some of the people that actually prevented me the most from actually getting certain targets were Black and African. And also some of the people that helped a lot, like yourself and other people who supported my work and projects, were white people, which is why I try to explain to guys that it is very important that we train our antennas for message, integrity, content, and goals. If you're focused on those things as opposed to rhetoric, because rhetoric can be easily used against you. You see, if somebody identifies, and I'll stop here so you can comment. If somebody identifies that somebody like this, Brad here, who's on here, is saying things that might enlighten or empower Africans, what that person would then do is to start promoting the idea that why is a white man talking about African issues? And then leave that on your table so that then Africans attack the white man, while the white person who set all of this stuff into motion just sits back and watches it happen and says, well, I've got nothing to do with it. I've got, you know what I got to do with it. In the meantime, that guy isn't helping you. He isn't giving you any messaging that's going to empower you. He isn't investing in your community. He isn't teaching anybody anything. He's doing nothing.
Yep.
So I actually think that, which is why I bring this comments up here for us to talk about it, is that what has happened to me on this platform is scandalous, to say the least. It's scandalous.
Absolutely.
But I believe my only way out of it is working with guys like this. Carry on. Go ahead.
No, and so it's the point that I suppose he's trying to make is that as a person, if you're white, then you're an outsider. But I don't comment on necessarily on African issues. I comment on economic issues that may happen to be within Africa. Also, if he doesn't like the idea of people of European descent or of Middle Eastern, to say it lightly, descent, having an influence on Africa, they just haven't seen behind the curtains to see exactly what's going on. The idea that Africans have any kind of autonomy, at least to a fair level, is unfortunately it is inaccurate because there's such significant influence from the Western world on African affairs. Um, yeah, I mean, if someone doesn't like what I'm saying, they can obviously they can swipe. It's totally available. But again, I'm just going to bring out the best analysis that I can. Africa's been amazing to me. People have been amazing to me, and I'm happy to be doing what we're doing out there.
Yeah, no, 100%. I guess, I was very annoyed when I saw it today. It was very deflating because it sort of told me that it's really happening. You try to go into denial about it, like, oh, but then you see it happening, you're like, oh my God, man, like, what like what's the point in even posting on these platforms now? It's like what like YouTube has been good so far, but YouTube is not promoting my long form videos, like I'm
Mm.
not really getting that pushed. I'm having to do a lot of work to get those in front of people. And to yes, we are getting a lot of subscribers, but still it's very concerning to me that at any point any of the platforms that I'm using can just decide to neutralize your message. So when I see what happened in Ghana with this conference, it's a this is a microcosm of that, the powers that be could just be like, listen, you're not going to have this conversation.
This is where I think China may have been one of the smartest countries in the world going back about 20 years ago, where they made the decision that they weren't going to allow the Western world to have anything to do with their social media or their media in general. And for a long time, now speaking from a Chinese perspective, the internet in China sucked for the first
Right.
up until about 2012, 13, something around there. It would have been so easy for them to just say, hey, Facebook, come in, do all this. But by controlling their internet, eventually they're all of their apps are better than the Western equivalent. Their search
Yep.
engines are better right now, and most importantly, they basically they are in complete control of their own narrative. If we wanted to cause disharmony and
You
upset,
can't.
you
You
can't.
can't.
Why Africa? I mean, I could talk about why Africa hasn't done it, but if Africa was to do that, if they were to have their own network,
We have to. We must forget about. We're talking about if. Now that this has happened, that is my new campaign. I'm
mm,
now going to start talking about that now actively. Africa needs to isolate itself in terms of the internet. We have to.
100%.
Like we need to prevent access to Facebook, Twitter,
Hmm.
Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We need to just seal ourselves and create our own internet. And like you said in the beginning, it's going to be difficult. It's not going to be great. We're going to have a lot of issues. And we will have a lot of people who do not understand what we're doing. Kids who just want to they want to twerk, they want to do the dance move, they want to do, and we're just going to be like, guys, sorry. If you want to do that, you can go and what it is that you can go and use your VPN
Hmm.
and go around it to do that. But the general population, we need our own internet service. We need to stop this. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's just so even if we can't control the internet, we need to stop the apps. We need to have control over this narrative. It's crazy because you're in a situation here where people can literally get into your country through these systems and change storylines.
Hmm.
Have you heard of the Mandela effect?
Absolutely, absolutely.
I'm going to do a video about that because I saw something real crazy about it. And I said, oh my God, this is what these guys use against us in Africa. Listen, if you tell a lie enough times,
Hmm.
it becomes the truth. So if you control the entire means of communication, you can take a lie and saturate every medium of communication with that lie. And over the course of one generation, history changes. Like actual history changes, where people just believe that is how it happened, and it never happened.
Hmm.
It never happened. But and what they were saying is that the Mandela effect can effectively rewrite history, whereby a few generations down the line, it is as if the event actually took place. So what they're talking about, and this gets really technical, so I'll get into it in another video, is the idea that the Mandela effect is like the real world version of the multiverse and time travel,
Hmm.
where a government can decide that we're going to go back in time to 1850 whatever, and we're going to reconstruct and redefine what actually took place between this country and that country, this community and that community. And we'll do it in such a way that it doesn't take effect today, but in a few generations, the truth becomes the fringe. The
Hmm.
truth becomes the conspiracy theory. The
Hmm.
truth becomes the radicals. So the truth, actually, when anybody says the truth, it's like, that crazy. These people who keep saying that the Berlin conference did whatever. I'm not saying that that's literally that story, but the Berlin conference, for example, becomes a fringe concept in about 30 years, if this is as effective as they try to make it. You see what I'm saying?
Hmm. No, absolutely, absolutely, and it's even in the short term. It's a when we have social media that is controlled by a whole nother region. I mean, if you want to just be as basic as possible, look at a local election. All TikTok or all Twitter would have to do, maybe not Twitter with Elon Musk, but or maybe who knows, but all they would need to do is simply bump up stories that are very good for one candidate and pump up stories that are very bad for the other candidate. They can essentially be more influential on an election. They can pick a pro-Western leader. They could go down to the cabinet levels. They can absolutely shift and undermine African autonomy with, and to be frank, almost no effort. Me and you, if we had the keys to the castle there, we could probably do the same thing with the algorithm if we were in control.
Yes, yes. I mean, it's what you're saying is already happening. Like I think that that's already what's going on. It's already happening. I think that our biggest failing as a continent is our naivety and ignorance,
Mm-hmm.
because the Chinese figured this out, like you said, 20 something years ago. They figured it out 20 something years ago. Are you trying to tell me Africans, there are not smart Africans that realize the only pathway is narrative control? Like the Jewish community figured that in the 40s.
Mm-hmm.
And the white people figured that out about 500 years ago. 2,000 years ago. What am I talking about? With
Yeah.
the Bible. We
Mm-hmm.
know that the Bible itself isn't the real, like, that's not the full Bible. They figured this out too, that, like, you know what? We know all the books in the Bible, but these books, a man to take this book out, rewrite this one, do a King James version, do another. They've realized this for thousands of years.
Mm-hmm.
But us, we're still talking about truth. We're still talking about, yes, but somebody said this to me, or I saw this online. I was like, nobody ever won by being truthful. Nobody ever won by being faithful. Nobody ever won with justice. Nobody ever won with kindness. Nobody. In the history of mankind,
Mm-hmm.
in the history of mankind, all the people who did those things got assassinated or taken out. All of them,
Rest in
including
peace,
Jesus.
Alpha.
Including Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the history of mankind, all these attributes that people say push on Africans has never resulted in prosperity for any civilization.
No, and a way you could see that even today is if you look at Western trained African economists, those guys that go to Harvard, MIT, London School of Economics, they come through and they give advice to the presidents and they advise on an economic system that doesn't work in Africa. It's almost as if a doctor was to give someone with diabetes a whole bunch of candy bars and
Right.
and wonder why they ended up passing. It's so I think that well, you're really hitting on some stuff that's super important. Yes, I appreciate that there.
No, no, I mean, no, no, thanks. I mean, look, I agree with what you're saying about that. And I think it is not, I think it's worse than what you're saying. I think that we are given those things because they know that it's not going to help us. Like, I think that we are indoctrinated into these policies because they realize that Africans adopting these policies allows Africa to maintain the status quo. Because it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand that Africa is the resource battery of the entire world. So, for the West, for example, if Africa becomes self aware, all of a sudden the entire community collapses in the way. It just falls to pieces because their consumption so far outweighs their production. They require a subservient, docile community to exploit. Otherwise, you simply will not have the electricity. You will not have the food. You just won't have the things to power your society, because your society for generations is living well above their production means, well above. Africa is living well below,
Hmm.
so far below.
The one place I would push back on that, though, I believe that the regular Westerner benefits from Pan Africanism. I think they benefit from a developed Africa. I believe a developed Africa is a much better business partner than the current arrangement. I think the only people who are really benefiting right now, in the truest sense, are the special interest groups in the West. I'm here in Prague. A lot of the regular Western white people, they're not doing too well. But the way that reason the society is the way that it is, the way it can sustain itself is through the exploitation of Africa. I believe the right path is cooperation on a mutual level between both continents in a way that's mutually beneficial, not the neocolonialism that we have right now. And I would argue that's beneficial to the typical European more so than the current system. The current European, the regular European guy working 9 to 5, he should be a pan Africanist because it's in his interest as well.
Right, right. You know what? I'll agree with that. I think if you were able to look at this on a objectively, on a macro level, that is the truth. But the great trick is to make people believe that that is not the case, which is where racism and all that stuff comes in,
Right,
because
right,
then racism becomes your color, skin color becomes more important than logic.
right.
Even down to the comment that we just had here, which is what I was trying to explain to them. I was like, you need to not see, if you look at a white guy, be able to look at what is this person actually saying and doing as opposed to the color of their skin. Because if you start looking like just purely on race, it makes it actually easier to get manipulated,
Mm-hmm.
because the powers that be can then say, oh dear, this person is seeming a little bit, let's just put this racial thing on them. Let's just say that,
And if race is the means by which you filter out whether or not to listen to someone or not, the trick is very simple. You just get someone that looks like them to push the propaganda that you want, and it goes past their frontal cortex here, which I would argue, if you look at a lot of the drug use, a lot of the degeneration is pushed through certain types of media into the black community in the Western world, is exactly what's happening.
listen, there is a reason why. Oh man, have you seen the Cat Williams interview?
Yeah, I saw that.
Did you
He
watch the whole thing?
I didn't get every single part of that one, but I was listening to it while I was getting ready. But he was stepping on some stuff there.
Right. Because the reason why I'm saying this is that there's things he said. I see Chosen One is here. There's things he said. Chosen One, let me know when your camera is ready, then I'll bring you in. There's things he said that listen, man. Look, he did 2 interviews. The second one, there is a line he said. This one line, I'm doing a whole video on that line. I'm doing a whole video on it's one line he said. I'll give you a summary. I said it earlier in the show. I'm going to give you a summary of the line. He said that, and this is a summary. It's a summary. He said, with Black people and Africans, the liar knows he's lying. He knows what the truth is, and he knows he's lying. But Black people are so lost and disconnected from who they are. They have completely lost their identity and allowed someone else to tell them who they are.
Okay.
But the person who's lying to them doesn't think that Black people, they know the truth. They know the truth of Black history. And that is the reason why they're misdirecting you. Because this was why it was so poignant what he said. We don't know the truth. We're lost. They know the truth, and they tell us the lie while always knowing what the truth actually is. So they're not deluded that they actually believe the lies they're telling. They know what the truth is, and they can see that the truth is within Black people. Like, Black people encompass the truth. So their job is to make you believe something else. And we are so lost that we don't even realize that. And he connected it to the sphinxes and the noses, which everybody knows this. He said, why is it that of all the erosion on all of these things, only the noses are
Mhm.
eroded? Not an ear, not an eye, not a chin. Everything else is intact except the nose. And he said it's because Chosen, I don't see your camera. I only see the image. I do not see your camera. So let me know it. I do not see you. He said that it's because if the nose of the Sphinx was present, it's so because he said the African nose is indisputable. He said that you can argue about eyes, the chin, the cheekbones. You can do a bunch of other things. But he said the shape an African nose, there is no other culture except Fijians and people like that who are also from Africa, if you go back genealogically. He said that the kind of people who have these noses, you can trace them to Africa because it is very specific. So he said they had to knock off the noses because they knew the story they were going to be telling for generations.
And imagine if people knew from their history that, hey, we were at this point at some time.
We were at that point at some time. It's like that you've got nothing you can say to us at that point. And that's the problem. It's like you have a situation where, you know, you're trying to tell people something about themselves. And you're not able to do that. Just give me a second. I'm bringing Chosen in here. And you're trying to tell people about themselves. And they are being supported by the fact that they control the narrative. You know, they are being supported by the fact that they control the narrative. So you have no recourse. It's like we don't have the recourse. You don't have the history books. You're not writing them. You don't have the artifacts. You don't have any of these things. So guys can just be like, yeah, you didn't have anything to do with that. The pyramids. You had nothing to do with ancient Egypt. And you're like, okay, yes, sir.
The evidence is gone.
The evidence is gone. Chosen, welcome. Listen, Chosen, you missed out. What a show.
Yeah.
What a show today. You missed out, man.
How's everybody?
Well, you know, Chosen, did you listen to what happened to me on TikTok today? Did you hear that? Were you here?
No.
Okay, so TikTok, I released my... No, don't show him. Don't show him. I want to ask him the question.
Oh.
So I released a video yesterday about should Black people support Palestine? You know, the video that I already put on YouTube. You know, the video, I've done all the editing. Everything is on point, whatever. Guess how many views it got in the first hour?
1,000.
21. The first day, 24 hours, 100 views. I then reposted it, 33 views the first hour. And I have 509,000 followers.
Right. I'm not
Chosen, it shouldn't even be possible to get that. Like it shouldn't even be possible.
Well, that shows the power of the censorship, right?
Yes,
I mean,
that's my point.
Yeah.
It's like it is so powerful that they can literally take an account with 500,000 people and just stop you from being seen. And they don't tell you you're banned. You're not banned. They're not saying you've got any strikes. They're not saying you've got any of that. And you've got an account that you've never promoted violence. You've never shown anything graphic. You've never... Look at my account compared to some of the accounts that are out there that are doing completely fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to turn around and tell me that we are not fighting something, that we're not actually in battle against something. And again, this show was actually about your people who messed up Ghana and the corruption in your country, man. Like, I mean, you know, because were you here when the lady cleared up what happened? Were you here? You weren't even here for that.
No.
You need to watch this show back to listen to what happened in Ghana 2 days ago. What day is it today? The 10th. Three days ago, or Monday. And then I was like, and I think Brad just came from Ghana.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Ghana is now officially, as far as I'm concerned, you're just as corrupt as Nigeria. Like it's the same thing. Like, because I used to give you guys the benefit of the doubt, saying that, oh, you know, these guys, everybody's corrupt, but they're better than Nigeria. You know, that Nigeria is the worst. We're the most corrupt. Because I actually own that. I'm like, yes, Nigeria is one of the most corrupt places in the universe. Like, it's the level of corruption in Nigeria is, even the guy selling you food is corrupt. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm just trying to buy a sandwich. Why is there corruption in my sandwich? You go to McDonald's, you buy a Happy Meal. There's a meal called corruption in McDonald's, the corruption meal. In Nigeria, that's the levels we've taken it to, that we go to McDonald's, there is a corruption meal in McDonald's. Let me just get one corruption with extra, make it a large. Give me one corruption.
Corruption
in
meal.
Nigeria. The corruption meal in Nigeria. Trademarked. Anyway.
Oh God.
I'm allowed to say it because I'm Nigerian, so I'm allowed. I'm allowed to say it.
Mhm.
Listen, what happened in Ghana is a scandal, man.
Mm.
It's really scandalous, you know. But again, we've got both of you on the thing, and it's good that you're both here. I think what I'm worried about and why I was so upset when I woke up is that I was very disheartened from all the work I've put in to build an audience that I now know has been taken, you know, and I don't really know how to access them. And anyway, yeah, that's what really gets me, and I'm not sure now what to do. It's like, do I just focus here? Because when you see what happened in Ghana, and I realize that, you know, we are really up against something. It's like the message of trying to connect and unify people and move us forward is really difficult, you know. But I'll let you guys, you know, chime in.
So with Ghana, I'm not right. I wouldn't be throwing like all of Ghana completely under the bus. Just in terms of there's going to be what we call corruption there, like what we saw with the conference. That's inexcusable for it. It's not been so when we've done development, it hasn't been unbelievably bad. You have to tip some people for good service, and but I don't want people to get the impression that when the top is ultra corrupt, that you can't do business in Ghana. That's the one thing I'd put out there to your audience. You can do business. You can sell houses. You can buy houses. So I wouldn't completely scare everyone off from Ghana, but yeah, that was something else. I wasn't literally. I get off the plane and I'm like, oh wow, that happened
Oh, did it happen while you were there or when you left?
when I was in the air.
Oh, wow.
So
Wow. And what was the vibe ahead of the conference there? Was there excitement or like what was the vibe?
I mean, there was. I mean, people were excited to go to it, but during this time of the year, it's like conference season. So everyone's been basically bouncing from conference to conference. I had my conference, then a lot of people were just jumping into the one before the new year, and then people had been talking about who the masked guy was, whether it was a joke or not, and that was kind of a thing. And I think what we hit on today, just tying it all together in a way I didn't think. I thought there was like when I heard it at first, I said there must have been a security issue. Like I figured there
Right.
must have been someone because we had all these politicians coming in. They must have heard something. But then when we put all the pieces together, I was like, oh, well, this
Yeah.
makes sense.
You were here when the lady came in to explain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? Once she did, it's so clear. Like it's really clear. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what happened. And as I said, I think the guy who did it, it's a bit selfish to do that because listen, I get where he was probably coming from. He would never imagine they'd cancel it. Like he just wouldn't. He was like, if I reveal ourselves the day before, he revealed it on Sunday. The event is on Monday. He's thinking they haven't got time to cancel this. Like we already got everybody in the house. Go on.
Well, I would say we had one. So for the Full Circle Economic Conference, we were supposed to have the president of Rwanda. So when he didn't show up, we thought, hey, well, what's going on here? We had a couple of we had a lot of really good people. We had some of the A-listers not show up. So I thought something might have been in the air, but I'm wondering if that's somehow connected. I just have a little bit of research to do now on now that I have an idea of what happened.
Yeah, no, now that listen, you know what? That is worth a video. I think we should talk about that. Like that's worth a video because my instinct was I was very stereotypical. I just thought the West, you know, I was like France or England or somebody. I was completely wrong, you know, like I was completely wrong. Like this was all internal corruption. So I think that in and of itself is interesting because where I would go with our conversation or this theory is that such a number has been done on Africa that guys don't even have to meddle anymore. We will take care of screwing ourselves over. Like you don't even have to worry about coming to Africa to make any phone calls. We will take care of the sabotage. We'll do it. Do you know how hard it is to get Malema, Lumumba, and Obi in the same room.
That's logistically.
Logistically, it's like it's important. How do you even pull that off? Like, you know what it is? The timing to get them in the same room now, when they are all in their separate countries. They've said like there's so much happening in South Africa in relation to the EFF. There's so much happening in Nigeria in relation to the elections that just happened. And Lumumba, in terms of just the Pan-African message, you know, to put them all together, and Ghana is the location, and you've just fluffed that, just messed that up.
Yeah.
Guys, you know.
I do want to give one nice thing to Ghana, though, because I'll have to go in a second there. But I have been dealing with their government, not just from the development front, but from the personal front. So I actually had to go through. I got when we were getting my identity card, all that stuff. Nobody, I'll say this to your audience out there, nobody asked me for a bribe. Nobody was anything professional. In other avenues where I had to deal with the government, in Ghana, they were completely straightforward, completely professional. Sometimes they were slower than I'd like, but they were never atrociously slow. And I'm ashamed at this event because this event over here is going to cast a light on everything.
I'm disappointed. Disappointed. Yeah, because this is not what Ghana are not like the corruption country in Africa. Like it's just not.
It's you know, and it's really not. This is. There's always going to be issues in D.C. I've always made an argument, I think successfully, that Washington, D.C. and the area around that, I've dealt with way, way more corruption than I ever dealt with in Ghana, by far. More greasing, more everything, anything that you can imagine. So when there are these events like this, it's one of those things where I think it's going to be really amplified to a lot of people. But I'd hope that when people are considering Ghana and West Africa in general, that they wouldn't assume that it's entirely systemic all the way down. At least I can't speak for Nigeria. That's on you to speak for Nigeria.
Nigeria, listen. I do not open my mouth when people criticize corruption in Nigeria. I don't say anything. Mm-hmm. I don't defend myself. I don't defend the country, because the things I've seen in Lagos, like the things I've witnessed myself and been involved in, it's shocking. Do you know that I've had situations in Nigeria where guys sold a crate of soft drinks to me, and somebody had gone and removed the Sprite and put water in it and covered it? And these were the days of bottle cap bottles, where it's not like cans. That's the bottle cap where you have to use an opener to open it. It was the person who finished that soft drink and gave us the soft drink with water.
By the bottle, they rebottled it.
They rebottled it, drank it, rebottled it, and sold it.
Okay. Someone really
that is Nigeria. Like, see, what I'm trying to say is about Nigeria is that you've got to be on your P's and Q's for everything. Like, these guys will do, like, anything is up for grabs in Lagos. Like, anything. That happened to me when I was growing up in Lagos. We couldn't believe it. And it was a guy that worked for us who did it. And we went to drink the drink. I was like, wait a minute, this is water. And it looked perfect. It looked like fully bottled. The cap was on, everything. Well, that is what I'm talking about. So from my point of view, when I hear about corruption, I'm like, listen, man, in Nigeria, you know, and Chosen One, I told Chosen One about this as well, that, you know, about video stores, we laughed about it, and there's a lot of people who don't know. Like, when I was growing up in Lagos, right? You know how you have Blockbuster Video in England, America. Our video stores were fully bootleg video stores. So every single film in the video store is a bootleg. Like, and the guy has a full-on store with them, you know, like it's a shop. It's called, we went to the place, and when you go in there, I didn't realize because I was a kid. So I just viewed it as a normal thing to do. I didn't know that this is like a criminal enterprise. No, I had no idea. When I was 12 years old in Lagos, we went to the Victoria Island in Echo Hotel. We go into the video store. I did not know that I was engaging in criminal activity. And do you know what? This is how we absorbed the bootlegging. When you get a movie from the video store, part of the excitement was whether or not when you press play, it's actually what you rented. Because for all you know, I remember Batman 89 was one of the hardest things to get, and Teenage Mutant, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. Whenever you pressed play on that thing, it could be anything. I remember it was Princess Bride once. It was like
That's not a bad
A-Team.
movie.
It was A-Team. It was you could get anything on that video. Sometimes you might get half the movie and half of something else that they recorded over. But what I'm trying to say is that my whole point about it is that in Nigeria, the idea of that sort of thing is just, we just didn't even see it as anything. Like, it wasn't until I went to England and all these other places that I was like, oh, that was a crime. I didn't know it was a crime. So I was a little kid. When I arrived in England, I started bootlegging. As a little kid, I was bootlegging actively. And in fact, in my older age, I'm still battling the remnants of bootleggery. Because it's in my blood now. Bootlegging is in my blood. So whenever like there's a movie and they say, it's not coming out till next week, I said, next week for you. There's a guy called Have Hope. Like, there's a particular individual. He's one of the most talented bootleggers I've ever seen in my life. There is nothing you need from this individual that me and Chosen know, a Nigerian who I'm connected to, that he cannot get for you. When it comes to films and TV shows, there is no footage that you need. I just go to him and I say, hey, I'm looking for this. He said, okay, what kind of quality do you need? Do you need what? Yeah, it just breaks us. Okay, yeah. He got me Star Wars. What's that second? What's the third Star Wars movie? What was it called? Rise of Skywalker. He got it for me on like opening day. I was like, I actually asked him, I'm like, how did you get this?
Perfect quality.
Well, the quality of that was a little weird. But the point is that, listen, my point is, as Africans, there are certain things that we grow up with in different cultures. And I know that some African countries were not like us in Nigeria, and there were things I was very used to growing up in Nigeria. I was just really used to it, and I know that part of it is that, look, when people are struggling and trying to survive, they want to still have fun. They want to watch the movies. They want to do, and they can't afford it. So they create these systems of just living. I mean, listen, like Nigeria, you go to buy Nike stuff, it's not Nike. It's not. It isn't. You're not even. Do you know what the shock would be? Is if you buy a Nike shirt back in those days, and it's actually Nike. So they'll create like entire things. So again, it's like, I say this to just say that, yes, it's funny. I crack jokes about it, but I do feel that it's endemic of society and culture, that we live in a society of such scarcity for so many things that people will become absolute geniuses in order to experience or have what they want to have. In Nigeria, for example. But I think the problem is that mentality, when it starts seeping into things that actually matter, that's where we have a problem. And I think for Nigeria, it bothers me that we accept certain things as just, hey, it is what it is. And I'm just like, we shouldn't accept it as the status quo. Like Ghana, I'm like, when I looked at what happened with this Ghana convention, I'm like, wait a minute, are the Ghanaians going to just accept this and just go home? You know what I mean? Like, just carry on. And like, yeah, we were looking forward to this convention. We had all these dignitaries come here. We did all of these things. Yeah, well, they pulled the plug a few hours before it and they didn't give us an excuse. Yeah, everybody's corrupt. Go home and carry on. Then it's going to happen again tomorrow and again tomorrow and again and again and again. Absolutely. Chosen, there was a guy, and you're going to laugh at this. A guy came on my YouTube and said that I should run for president of Nigeria. I said that you're crazy. Said, I'll vote for you. Okay, listen, man. I told him, don't ever say that again. You hear me? I said, don't you ever say that again, because you don't put a crosshair on my back. Don't even hint. Don't even put that in the wind.
Yeah, you'd be gone.
I'd be gone live. I'd be talking to you like this live, and then suddenly you'd just be like, whoa, what the hell?
Yep.
Like, there is no way. No way. And again, that is what's sad. And Brad, I mean, look, let me get serious about this, what I'm going to say now. That is what is sad, about us in Africa, and what really bothers me, is that the people who can really change things, it's too dangerous for them.
Yep.
And that is a sad reality that doesn't exist in a lot of other cultures. And that is why they've been able to advance the way they have. The kind of person that would do what you just brought up about that China did, we have those sort of peoples in Nigeria, but they would not put their necks out for it. Like, it's not worth it. It's like, because you're not only going to be doing battle with the West, you're going to be doing battle with your own people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Chosen. Yeah, go on.
No, I was going to say, just again, to give a little bit of balance to this, Kevin made a good point here in the comments that the Nigerians are more naked with their corruption. The West is more well-dressed. We could give you countless examples. I may just do a series on that when I feel like killing my account and actually show the Western corruption, because it's, when people tell me that Ghana is corrupt, and I look at what I've dealt with in DC, I'm like, you guys don't know corruption. But
Right.
I have to head out, but I want to say a few things to the audience here. First off, you had an amazing book out there that talks about some of the critical things like stealing African history, the Crusaders comic book. If people don't know about that, you check out what the Merc has with that, and your newsletter is fantastic. I think it's super critical, particularly after what you saw happen to you on TikTok. Get on this guy's get on his newsletter. It's good, high quality. It's going to keep you ahead of things. It's a hell of a lot better than the New York Times or Wall Street Journal, for sure.
I've tried. They don't listen to me. Nobody listens to me. I try to get them to sign up. They don't listen to me.
Maybe they'll llisten to a guy who's balding in a hat. Maybe.
You know what? Let me tell you this, Brad. Before you go,
Yep.
We're going to do an experiment. We're going to do it. We're going to do a social experiment.
Don't say what. Don't say.
I'm not going to say what it is.
Okay.
I'm not going to say what it is.
All right.
We're going to talk offline.
All right. We'll go offline. I have to step into a meeting, but thank you. And Chosen One, great to see you as always. Sorry I wasn't here to talk to you more.
Absolutely, man.
All right.
Yeah.
Later.
All right. Listen, man. Look, I think, what am I going to do now? 500,000 people?
I mean, you knew that was going to happen, though.
I knew it was going to happen. I knew. Yeah. No, I knew. Do you know what I'd hoped for? This is what I hoped. I hoped by the time this happened and they just completely neutralized my reach, I would have already transferred a lot of those people off into the newsletter, into these things. Unfortunately, and this speaks to us as a community as well, I think unfortunately we're just not used to these sorts of things. So I don't think people really understood when I kept saying it, how real it was and how important it was. Because even this conversation we're having here today, imagine being able to reach 100,000 people with this conversation or these lives and have these shows where they don't understand that with a newsletter, if 100,000 of you are there, I can send one post and I know that 40,000 of you will at least open it. I know all of you will get it. 40,000 of you will open it, and there'll be a few thousand of us having these conversations. And that is sort of what I've been trying to express to guys, that you've got to join, these things. Or if there is any way of maintaining connection and connectivity as a community, I'm all ears. I'm all ears. Because have you watched the Cat Williams interview now?
Yeah.
You have now. Oh, yes.
The interview was what it was, and, you can have a whole discussion on that. But what I found interesting is the response from celebrities, the response from average citizens. And I think someone spoke to this, where it's like, we like controversy and we need to stop. And I watched the Nightcap interview with Ocho and Shannon. And one of the things Ocho said, I don't agree with a lot of what Ocho says, but what he said was, I think, actually brilliant, where Shannon could be sort of the conduit to sort of connect some of these guys and bridge some of this gap, because we can't be separated. We can't afford to just be, it's divide and conquer. You know what I mean? It's like, you really need to pool resources and communicate and work together, because this sort of divide and this back and forth, this bickering, this beef, all that stuff, it feeds into our demise.
I've got a different perspective on it.
Okay.
All right. I'm coming through your, I'm hearing myself through your, okay. All right, that's better. Now, what Cat Williams said and is doing is necessary for us to move forward. Hear me out. What he's highlighting is the fact of the chosen one, pun not intended, situation, where the machine handpicks and selects certain individuals from our community to put out in front of the community as the representative of quality, the representative of talent. But the reason why they're there is because they are easily manipulated, they are easily controlled, and they know that these people will not try to dismantle anything. They will not try to challenge anything. They will not do anything to really lift us up as a community, which is what we need.
Yes.
Okay. Therefore, we need to drain the swamp. It's a requirement. You see what I just said to Brad when he was here, where I said, you utilize certain stereotypical conversations to protect yourselves. One of them being, stop dragging each other down. Stop fighting each other. As opposed to, who are you really fighting? What are we fighting? We need to have this conversation because for too long, we are not in control of the gates. We don't own the gates. We don't own the house that the gate is attached to. So the reality of what Kat is saying is that we shouldn't have a situation where some other group who do not have our best interests at heart is deciding on which comedians and which people are the flag bearers for the conversation and for our community. That's what and I'm not naming names specifically or anybody. I'm just saying that is the message. And I feel that message is universal across the board.
Okay.
Okay, go on.
How do you have that conversation when the people who are engaged in the conversation actually believe that an individual is talented? So he called again. You don't want to. You don't want. I'm trying to
name the names. Name the names. So
well, okay. So So I've seen Kevin Hart movies.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
I don't see it. Okay. I'm not saying he isn't talented. What I'm saying is I don't see the craze, because at one point he was, number one.
Biggest thing going, yes.
So and I don't see how that happened personally. Maybe it's just not my style. But if 90% of the Black population disagree with me, and to your point, no, I'm just right.
Okay, so go on.
So then, how then do you have that conversation when it's going to basically the fruit of that conversation is going to put people like him out of work?
Yes. And I think that is what is, listen, man, he said, oh, you know what, let's go. Let's have this conversation.
Well, should we? I don't know.
Yeah, let's do it. Who cares? This is the thing. God.
And not just him. A lot of people. It's going to put a lot of people out of work because it's chosen.
This is the thing. We can't afford to play the same games that white society plays. We can't. We are not in that position. We're not in the luxurious position of playing smoke and mirrors. We're not. We actually require substantive folks to be in positions of influence in our community. But more importantly, forget all of that. We need to have the control of who is put in front of us. That is more important. Now, from my point of view, as far as people losing opportunities, I feel like let the chips fall where they may, as long as what we are doing is adhering to us as listen, you just said it. Listen, listen, he's not really funny to me. I think he's a very good comedy actor. Like I like him in certain movies. I thought some of the movies were cool. But most definitely, the difficulty with Cat Williams saying this is that you're talking about Cat Williams is hilarious. That's the problem. Like the problem is that you're hearing a guy saying this, and there is nobody that has seen Cat Williams stand up and anything he's done that can't say that this guy's like one of the best comedians. He's one of the best of his generation. And when anybody who lists out their top 10, who are the top 10 comedians in comedy, he's in there in everybody's list. Now, when somebody has that kind of credibility, and then he decides to say the kinds of things he's saying, that is the reason why everybody struggles to go against him, because they're like, when he says it, it's like, yo, man, Cat Williams is funny. He's good. So anybody he's think about every single person he criticized. None of them are better than him. Nobody. Categorically. He did not say a damn thing about Dave Chappelle because Dave Chappelle's better than he is. Eddie Murphy, you're not opening your mouth. And even anybody that we know is a good comedian, he was very careful. Listen, everybody knows Cedric the Entertainer is funny.
He spoke to his writing.
He's writing, exactly. And he was very careful about that because he never said the guy isn't funny. Everybody knows Cedric the Entertainer is funny. He is funny. Everybody knows D.L. Hughley is a good comedian. You cannot criticize D.L. Hughley as a comedian. And on his work ethic, his writing, everything about D.L. Hughley is like consummately so. It's like, this is what a comedian does. He's still on stand-up. He's still touring. He writes his own jokes. He's never been accused of taking anybody's jokes. So when you see a guy navigate his criticisms the way he did, it then becomes a little hard for you to really say that much. And then it comes down to what you said about, well, Black people shouldn't be sniping each other. To which I say, we don't have a Black community. There is no community. And part of the reason is that we don't have the power to decide who we can and cannot support. They just decide that, you know what, no more of that guy now. No more of that guy. We don't like him. Get rid of him. And then you hop step and they're like, okay, let's take this guy out.
But we don't even make that decision. I don't believe we even make that decision. I think that decision is...
Decision of what?
The decision of, we're done with that guy. We're going to go to the next one.
We don't. No, we are told to.
Okay. Yep.
But what I'm saying is the execution of the removal, we have to participate in the removal of that person.
Correct.
That's the problem. And that's what he's speaking to. He's basically saying that, look, the problem is that we have people who we have no role in their success. We're not participating in them actually being put there. But I have the people. I have the community. And it's like, when you're listening to this guy, you're like, yo, this conversation is crucial for us because this is what is wrong with us. The voices of the people are never, ever, ever given the light. So we have to look beneath the surface of what Cat Williams is saying to the fact that he's speaking about the flag bearers. Do you know that you should go and watch his Willie D interview? Because his Willie D interview, he says some way more, because he's way calmer in that. I think he was recorded before this other one. But he says some things that, listen, man, Chosen, that Cat Williams, you don't play with that guy. Because he said some things that I was like, that is a bar of all bars. There was one thing he said that I told Brad before you jumped on, where he said that white people, the powers that be who lied to Black people and Africans, they know it's a lie. And they've always known it's a lie. And they know that the truth is within us. We have lost our identity. We do not know the truth. They know we don't know the truth. So their job is to make sure we are focused on the lie and not looking at the truth, because they never lost. This was why the bar was so powerful. Do you know what this man said? And I'm going to paraphrase it. The establishment, white people, did not lose black identity. They know black identity. Black people lost black identity. They don't know black identity. That's a bar, man. Because it's dead true. He's basically saying the power of the black people and Africans, white people have never lost sight of it to this day. They know it. They know your power. They know everything that's fantastic about you. They know what's amazing about you. And they've never lost sight of that. And that is why the society and the establishment works so hard to obscure it and move you. That's why this, what we'll be talking about today, this convention, that's why it's important the convention doesn't happen. Like, people just like, and it's an unfortunate thing based on the corruption in the government, whatever. But it's like, when he said that, I said, yo, that is the big, that's why what he's doing is important. How are we supposed to see the truth if the people who are talking to us are selected by somebody who doesn't want us to see the truth?
Yep.
What hope do we have? We don't stand a chance. Am I crazy? Am I tripping? Is it me?
No.
Is it me?
Not at all. You want to suppress that thing because it's a threat. You want to suppress it.
So does that affect your stance, me saying that? Like, does that affect where you're coming from or not really?
Not necessarily. Well, how about this? We sort of do things in order. So that sort of unification, I think, needs to happen after the Great Purge, once we are on code, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay. Say that again.
So you're saying that we shouldn't be sniping at each other, right?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that per se. But
okay, so that's what I'm saying. But you're saying
that
is not the stance we should take at this time. But let's just say we get on code and everything is how it should be. Right. Then that sort of unification needs to happen, where we buy black, we trade black, we keep that nicely contained ecosystem.
What if I tell you we can't get there without draining the swamp?
No, that's what I'm saying. It's part 2. We have to drain. That's what.
Right. Oh, yes. Then we're on point. Then we're on the same page.
Yes.
I think that what he's doing and why everybody is now panicking, there's panic in celebrity now amongst the celebrities because of what he's done.
Yeah.
Is that the kinds of conversations that are now happening? They are like, oh my God, we don't want to have this conversation, because people are now going to start analyzing whether we should actually be where we are.
Yep.
They're going to start analyzing what we are contributing to the community, actually. Yep. They're going to start, and when that happens, it starts becoming very apparent very quickly that this has nothing to do with us. Mm-hmm. It has nothing to do with uplifting us. It has nothing to do with And in fact, again, I don't like that they keep going after Kevin Hart, because I think he's a nice guy that didn't do anything. I don't believe he went out there to try and screw us over. I don't believe that he went out there to, I don't believe that personally. I think that he's just lucky to be the guy that was put in this situation, you know?
Well, I don't either, but collateral damage.
Exactly. No, I agree with you. But I just feel bad that, man, you know, the hits he's taken, there are a lot worse people out there that people could go after than Kevin Hart. Like, there's a lot worse people. And it's just unfortunate because Cat Williams is a person that I don't believe he read 3,000 books or any of that sort of stuff. That's all, you know, exaggerating. But he's smarter than everybody. And that's a problem for him. He's smarter than everybody. Like, you know, when I've listened to these 2 interviews I listened to, and then I've been listening to this guy for years, and I've heard him say many interesting things, but I looked at it and I said, between him and Dave Chappelle is very smart guy, you know. But Cat Williams is even smarter.
And the thing is, you only get a fraction of their intelligence in interviews. It's just a fraction. So, you know, another thing that sort of jumped out to me is sort of when he was talking about Friday After Next, and, you know, that scene in the bathroom that they wanted him to, and it's like, you know, and then I linked that up with other things where, because you know the Terry Crews story of how an executive grabbed his private parts, etc. And I'm saying to myself, you know what, it just highlights something we already knew, but, you know, it's kind of like that classic quote, there's a difference between knowing the path and then walking the path and seeing it. And you know what I mean? So it's like, we all know, everyone here knows how effed up Hollywood is and how some of the dealings, etc. But when you actually see it and you see how it feeds into how we're portrayed, it's like, okay, this is all just a big insidious game. And it's like,
Yes.
why play it? And, I hope this interview does actually bring about some kind of conversation and change. But, I just feel that in order for that to happen, like you said, collateral damage with not only Kevin, you're going to put the spotlight on LeBron James. You're going to put the spotlight on.
Man, it's crazy.
It's like crazy. There are so many people now where you're going to look at them and it's like, not only are you not doing anything, you're actually hurting us. And if I am in that position and I'm one of those individuals, I would do everything in my power to stop that from happening. I have to put myself in the shoes of the individuals who are hurting us and say, behind the scenes, I'm stopping that. So,
which is why he's. Why am I hearing myself? Hold on. There we go. I'm still hearing myself.
I haven't changed.
Guys, are you guys getting echoes? Okay. Oh, it's gone now. I don't know why that. Okay. Anyway, yes. No. Listen. I think that what you have now is he needs to watch his back. Like Cat Williams, like at this point, you've got to be careful now because greater men than you have been removed for causing less destabilization in the status quo. So the thing that's probably even this is very different to Kanye West. Kanye West is not a smart person. He's not an intellect. He's not an intellectual. This is like somebody with Cat Williams. Like, no, this is somebody who really knows what he's saying and why he's saying it. There is a level of narcissism involved, of course. There are levels of all of these.
All the greats have that.
Yeah, but like the things he said, he talked about Farrakhan, man, in this Willie D interview. I don't know if you saw that. And Willie D said that, why is everybody so afraid of Farrakhan? And he broke it down simply. And again, we know this, but he said it in a very succinct way. He said that there is nothing more dangerous than a black man that black people listen to. And if a black man has the power to mobilize millions of black people, the powers that be know there is literally nothing you cannot do. He said that there's just nothing you can change everything. And therefore it makes you the most dangerous person in the world. So he said, he'd already brought this up. He said that no black person who ever had influence survives. We've said this before. Nobody. He said that there is nobody. If you go through history, once a black man or woman starts actually beginning to have the power to influence the black population en masse, they get removed.
Yep.
They never survive. Ever, 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 ever survive. And he said, therefore, and again, this was what really hit me when he said it. He said, therefore, we've never, and I'm paraphrasing, we've never realized what that means. It's never been realized because once the person starts getting there, they get removed. So we've never had the guy or the woman that mobilized black people en masse and seen where that takes us because they never live. We've never seen it. Yet, if you go to like white society and Asian or like, they've had many people that lived, like they actually changed things and they're in the history books. Look at what this person did to get us to the point we are in our civilization. The only people that are in our history books are the people that got assassinated or the people that, it's not insulting, I'm not naming it, but that tap danced. Those are the only people that are in the history books. In fact, some of them, the picture is just tap shoes. Different colors, different, some of them with heels, some of them with like steel toe casts, but they're just tap shoes. Which is, and again, it's like, It's the reason why when we have these conversations, people try to label them as radical conversations because we don't control the narrative of anything. So, for example, see the conversation we're having here. Somebody listens to this and they say the Merc he's militant. He's a rabble raiser. We can't work with that guy. That's what would be said about me if they listen to this. Yet, make me a white person talking about something to empower, like the cult, whatever, and England or UK or US, and because I've not insulted anybody, I'm not attacked, then you're all strength, a patriot, all of these sort of things. So for me, and I think this is why these things are so important, is that you have to remove the threat of reprisals from being an upstanding Black citizen. And the only way to remove the threat of reprisals is to not be in the game that is being played. Therefore, it's like, how are you going to have reprisals? I'm not even in your game.
Yep.
But again, like I said, it's a step-by-step thing. It takes going in stages. Let's stop, man. All right, guys, we're going to wind this show down. Because I know I'm going to say something I don't want to say. So we're going to wind the show down, guys. Thanks to everybody for joining. Let me do my due diligence. As I said, please check out the newsletter and the Patreon. As well, you can go to themerc.io. This is the website right there. And you can sign up to the newsletter. And you can join the Patreon if you want to contribute monthly to the videos I make and the work I do. If you want to donate, support it, go there. The Patreon is there. Also, the newsletter, you can become a free or paid subscriber to the newsletter. It is also linked in that website, themerc.io. You can also go to my profile on YouTube or Instagram or wherever. And the link there takes you to all of these links as well. So you can actually get to the links from that profile. Chosen, do you have any final thoughts?
No, good talk. I know I came in late, but so far, this was a
very, very late.
Yeah.
All right.